Last week, my players threw down with a god in the world, and this week, I don't know what we're gonna do. So here's my campaign log. Hey fellow Game Masters, welcome back once again to the campaign log for my current long-running series, currently unnamed party group because they haven't come up with a name yet and I'm not going to force a name on them. But here is my setup for this week, and it's a complicated setup mainly because last week they just fought. I thought they would get more into actual story stuff, but they just kind of fought the god the whole time. And it ended kind of on this cliffhanger at a new location. But they have a couple key important elements that I'm hoping they will follow. If my players are watching this, I am trying to avoid spoilers, but that's just the nature of these kind of setups, so deal with it. Skip if you can, maybe. I think you really want to hear the recap of what actually happens anyways. They were left at a fictional city that I created called Baramunz, and it is basically a Dwarven Wakanda. That's the best way to describe it. It's a Dwarven city underground in the middle of a forest that has been guarded for years, like hundreds of years, that in the first year of our campaign, they discovered this place and they made some connections and friends there. Now they were sent back to this location, kind of out of convenience. It was like a place where some people were going, they have friends there, it's a cool place to go, and it's not one of the main cities of Forgotten Realms. So, here's what I'm hoping will happen. A couple of them will remember the name of the god, I hope. And then they'll probably start asking questions. They'll want to know where to find more information about this god because he's threatened people, he killed somebody, another deity. You know, he seems like a big deal, and they're probably going to try to figure out how to find him and stop him. I hope. What that will mean is that we'll end up taking them to a faraway land, another province or country. In the Forgotten Realms, it's currently known as Amn, A-M-N, and the capital city, I forgot, I forgot the name of the capital of that area, but it's a big city, kind of like the Waterdeep or Baldur's Gate of that area further south. So they will probably travel there, where they will find a new kind of society that they haven't run into yet. In the first half of the campaign, they spend a lot of time in Neverwinter and Silvery Moon and a little bit of time in Tribor traveling around, but I made the communities pretty friendly or under siege, so they weren't there was no real danger to them just from the community itself. But now, if they go to this next place, I really hope to bring out a sense of, this is the Mos Eisley, the scum and villainy, this is the place where it's dangerous. And people will try to take advantage of them, or kill them, or steal from them, one thing or another. You know, I try to get them on edge the whole time, is kind of the feel I want for them moving forward. The thing I have to do, though, and I've done this kind of since the beginning, one or two of my players have like an encyclopedic knowledge of the Forgotten Realms, because they've played a lot longer than I have, and so I'm changing things around, and I kind of made that clear early on that their Forgotten Realms that they know is not this one. This is our version of Faerun and the continent. So if I change names, like if I come back and report that they went to a city that I didn't mention in this, setup video, then that's why. I've reskinned things or changed names to kind of make it our own, and so the players have a little more ownership of it, and it really depends on how the game goes. So that's what I'm hoping will happen tonight, is that they'll look for some information about Sirik, the god, and then they'll get sent to another city further south and southwest of where they currently are. And there they will find it's a big city, so they'll be like the small fish in the big pond now. That's what I'm hoping. What I think will likely happen is they'll probably get into some shenanigans. They'll probably try to go find a brothel at least once. My player Gargamel, I think he's going to be here tonight, and the last couple times he was here, he went to the brothels. But the thing about Baramunz, the brothels aren't exactly Dragonborn, up to Dragonborn's, standards, so to speak. So that might not work out for him very well. I'm hoping to get some sentiment out of the character Kulak Cho, who is he's a Dragonborn paladin of Baal. And if you remember, if the last recap if I mentioned it, Ball was killed by Cyric, and I had kind of laid some groundwork of him losing touch with his deity throughout his, like, the last month kind of break we were on, and so then it basically Cyric said, oh, I killed Ball, and so I'm hoping now that that character, Kulak Cho, will go on a, you know, he'll want revenge. I'm hoping his thirst for vengeance will drive kind of the story forward a little bit. Vengeance with my players I found is a very good motivator. Well, at least it was in the first bit. But also money is a good motivator as well, I've discovered with these guys. Like, they'll go wherever there's money. The twist, the problem that I'm currently coming into thinking, and I'm only playing in a couple hours from now, the problem I have is I've already set up this Wakanda with ships that are like big magic minivans, basically, that can fly people around. But I don't want the characters, I don't want my players to get one of those ships to go to the new city. My thought process on that is the dwarves of Baramunz do not know or trust the new city they might be going to, or the country of so they won't send anything down there, which will give me some time to actually prep the big city and fill it in a little more, because right now I have like the basics, I got some structure, I have the government figured out, based on the Forgotten Realms wikis, but I'm really hoping they have to travel, and then I can throw in a random encounter here and there, or, you know, try and stall for time, so to speak. Not stall for time, that's not a good word to use, but wear them down to make it seem like this is a journey that they're on, and it's kind of like, I want them to feel like in the Lord of the Rings, that first part of the journey when they leave Rivendell just before they hit Moria, and so the next time when they're in the city and things are going bad and people are, you know, not the friendliest, it can feel a little more like the Fellowship in the Mines of Moria. That's the sentiment I want. Will I get that sentiment? Realistically, probably not. But I'm also thinking that's fine, because, you know, the whole point, as I mentioned, it's about having fun. So it doesn't matter if we don't get there, the story will continue, something will happen in some way or another, and I will be back right after this. There'll be a little screen that says, you know, recap or whatever, and I will tell you what happens after the game. Okay, so we played the game. A lot of stuff happened. Mostly stuff I didn't plan for, so allow me to elaborate a little bit here. As I mentioned in my planning, I thought the players were going to go to Baramunz. They did do that because that's where they were, and they knew that at Baramunz there is some modes of transportation to get them around a little bit quicker, and they don't want to go walking through the forests. Cool. They go into Baramunz and discover that the king of Baramunz, who's this 11-year-old dwarf boy, is going to have another birthday very soon. Like, the next day, he'll be turning 12, according to him. He's the king, he can have as many birthdays as he wants. So, a lot of stuff happens in this, but the first thing they decided to do, to my annoyance and discomfort, was they all split up. They decided to go all their separate ways into literally 6 different groups. We had people going to the taverns, we had people going to play with the king, like play Lincoln Logs, we had some people going to talk to the party planner, we had someone going to the library to look some stuff up, and I think someone else just, I don't even remember. They all split up. It was weird. Frustrating. It's a frustrating thing for a game master when your players split up, because then you have to be kind of in control and try to give everyone the same amount of time, where if they were all together, it's much easier to do. But a couple interesting things happened. They went to Baramunz, they did some research, they discovered that this god has a temple in Waterdeep. So I had forgotten that I had already told them about the temple in Waterdeep, but in this last session I also just explained to them that they do have people in that they can go talk to. So they basically got 2 in the destinations that they can go. Waterdeep or That's kind of the next step in the main storyline that I've kind of am building in for these people. But dealing with the party planning and the kid having a birthday the next day, they somehow agreed to go gather up 200 gnomes for a nice game of Gnome Toss. Simple game, loves dwarves and people love to play it, right? Right. So they have to gather up a bunch of gnomes for Gnome Toss. If they can get 200 by the king's birthday, they get an extra 1,000 gold for the party. Very cool. So I think that's what they're gonna do next, is try and gather up these gnomes, because they were looking for things to use to catch the gnomes. They were looking for like potions, stuff like that. And so we'll see what happens in that leg of the journey, probably next week when we play again. They also talked and visited with the people in Baramunz who deal with the magic weapons and magic items, and they left a magic item that they got previously in the last campaign arc. They got this item called the Third Eye of Jomer, or Jomer's Third Eye, whichever. It depends on how we feel on the day. But they left it with these people to kind of test it and see what kind of magical properties it has. If those people break the Third Eye of Jomer, then they are insured for 10,000 gold and a couple other magic items. So that's a nice little touch that they wanted to have in there. I tried to not say no to the players unless it's like ridiculously overpowering. A couple cool things of note that did happen in the game that I wanted to mention. One is kind of sad. The party tried to sell one of the party members to the dwarves. Now the member that they tried to sell to the dwarves is the little brother of one of the other players. So there's a little bit of family hazing and joking going on, but the kid handles it. He handles it pretty well. But he had the opportunity to try and get out of it. Now, if I were playing his character, I probably would have tried to take out the entire party as best I can. Like, I would try to kill people. He did not, which surprised me, but also shows like he has such patience with these people who, you know, keep picking on him all the time. But he chose, instead of trying to kill people, he just chose to try and distract them and get away. A much, you know, that shows that he likes his character enough that he wants to keep, you know, playing with it, and he doesn't want to be the one that, like, fights the party, even though they're kind of antagonizing him a little bit. So it was kind of a neat moment then when he was like, I'm doing these things, but he's really just trying to get away. He's not attacking people. He's not trying to hurt anyone. And then we had a nice tender character moment with the Dragonborn Paladin, Kulak. This was the first time he got to play with the Dragonborn Barbarian, who I mentioned casually is a little bit bigger than the Barbarian. And so he kind of made it a moment where he's having kind of an existential crisis about his size, which he's still the second largest in the party, but there is this other Dragonborn Barbarian that's a little bit bigger. So it was a fun little moment where he's like, am I big enough? Am I tall? What is my life now? Which is just a fun thing, but I was like, you know, I'll allow that. It's cool. It's a neat little twist. So that was the game. That's what happened. As you can see by the recap, nothing that I thought was going to happen actually happened. But I adapted, and did we still have fun? Yes. Did the players have fun? I hope so. Did I have a good time? Absolutely. So, thank you for watching this recap. We're trying to keep this going. One recap a week would be a nice thing. So, thank you for watching. Hey, thank you for watching. I hope this channel has been helpful to you in starting your Game Master adventure. If you feel inclined, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And as you'll see to the right and the left of the subscribe on this little end page here, there are more videos to watch on this channel. So click around, check it out, and thanks again.